you know, if you want to come visit them here, because I even told them I feel like you want to kidnap the children. I said it multiple times, and they said, no, we'll never do that. We'll never do that. And then, what happened is she would come to the house and visit them. So there was never a time where I denied access. There was one Friday where I said, okay, come at this time. Then something came up and I said, okay, let's move it to, I think, Sunday. That's when she came and was banging on the door, which she related to. She said, I came banging on the door. She came and made a huge scene outside of my house, like a huge scene. Mm-hmm. That was what she's related to. For me, trying to change a date of them coming.
Mr. Emily, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, please state your name.
Victor Amelli.
And
Victor Amelli. Sorry.
Okay. And you're aware that the opposing counsel has filed a contempt action against you?
Yes.
Okay. And you had heard Dr. Emily talk about some of the things that led up until the temporary order was signed?
Correct.
Would you like to elaborate on your version of the things that led up until the temporary order being signed?
Oh, sure. So, as she touched on some of the things that occurred, we decided to have our son go to Nigeria because of, there were school issues with COVID, but he also had issues prior to that, prior to COVID. So, he's always had issues with school.
Okay. So you initially going to Nigeria with your son was by the agreement of the parties?
Yes. And the agreement was, to have him go there summer, and if he did well, he would stay there for school. So the idea of him coming back for the summer was just, we had a round trip plane ticket. So the return date we had was the letter as was on the return date. So it wasn't set in stone. The idea was we would extend it if he did well in school. So we came to Nigeria. He was doing well. And then she told me that our daughter was also having issues with school. And when they came to visit, I suggested, how come, let them both stay in Nigeria and see how well they do. And then she stayed longer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So after you suggested that, then did your daughter go to Nigeria?
Yeah, my daughter was with me, both of them. So, for almost the whole semester, so 3 months. So I was, I had someone helping me. And, prior to her coming, like she said, she had this, delayed speech, and her speech actually really improved while she's in Nigeria. And, it was a lot of hard work we were doing for both of them during that time. Mm-hmm. So she came back, and prior to this, we were having issues with our marriage, and it wasn't a secret. It wasn't like it was a surprise to either of us. So being away allowed me to kind of actually realize, that how big the issues were. So when she arrived, but prior to her arriving, I let her know. I said, that I wasn't happy in the marriage, and I never said I wanted a divorce. I just said I wasn't happy, and I just said, it'll probably not be best for her to stay at the house. I did say that just because of the issues with the children, working with them. And
so at that particular time, you still wanted to work out whatever marital issues you had with Dr. Emily?
Yeah. I never said, have a divorce. I just said, I wasn't happy. And this was brought up even prior, 2019, 2020, our issues. I brought it up to her mother. So it wasn't a surprise. So what happened is she came with her whole family, and she never said her whole family was coming. Mm-hmm. She kind of like messaged me the day before she arrived. So,
So when her whole family was there, how did that make you feel? Were you?
It was a little, I was a little nervous because the way they kind of arrived, they came, and it was a little late. But I think it was on a Friday. They came maybe it was 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. And what they wanted to do, they wanted, immediately to take both of the children and say, we're going to do a slumber party, which is kind of weird, around 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I just didn't feel, the issue too, that I had was they were talking, they have their own native language. So they were talking a lot in their native language. So I couldn't understand what they were saying. So it just made me a little nervous. So I didn't agree to it just because I said, you know, if you want to come visit them here, because I even told them I feel like you want to kidnap the children. I said it multiple times, and they said, no, we'll never do that. We'll never do that. And then, you know, what happened is she would come to the house and visit them. So there was never a time where I denied access. There was one Friday where I said, okay, come at this time. Then something came up and I said, okay, let's move it to, I think, Sunday. That's when she came and was banging on the door, which she related to. She said, I came banging on the door. She came and made a huge scene outside of my house, like a huge scene. Mm-hmm. That was what she's related to. For me, trying to change a date of them coming by the house on a Friday to a Sunday. Minus that, their family came in, they did whatever they wanted in the house. They had no restriction. So I'm not sure why she would say that. And then we had a meeting with like my parents and her family. This meeting was on a Saturday, okay? And, you know, I just basically expressed my issues. And, you know, it really nothing got resolved, but, you know, her saying that she wanted me to have our son, her to have our daughter, you know, doesn't seem true because by that Monday, there was paperwork filed for a separate maintenance. So this paperwork was already obviously sitting in the US ready to be filed. So that Monday, the separate maintenance said that she has custody of both children. I pay child support. So there was never an issue of let's work things out. You know, they kind of had their plan coming in, is what I felt. So basically, there was a day when they brought food to the house and they gave my daughter, I think it was like some kind of beef. And she immediately threw up, which was very strange because she's never thrown up since she was with me the whole 3 months. She never threw up. At the school, as she mentioned, the same thing happened. They brought my daughter, our daughter out, and she threw up for no reason. I don't know if she was given food prior to that. And that's when they said, okay, let's take her to the house and, you know, make sure she's okay. Okay, so they went to the house that one day. I think the next day I brought clothes for them. The next day she called me. So the day before she left, she called me on the phone. You know, she kept asking, does our son want to come? Does our son want to come visit? Does our son want to, you know, spend the night? He himself said, no, I don't want to. He came to the house. He said, I want to stay with Daddy. So her saying that she tried to contact me, she talked to me the day before she left. She never mentioned anything about leaving. I even asked her, I said, you know, she said, oh, do you want the children, you know, to stay together? I said, yes. I mean, it'll be nice if the children are together. I was like, oh, you planning to take, you know, Siata out? She said, I never said that. But the next day she was gone. So if she has something to tell me, she could have told me the day before she left.
So when she left Nigeria with your daughter Siata, was it a surprise to you?
It was a huge surprise. Okay. I mean, it was something I thought she would do, but I was like, okay, we're adults. Because she even wanted to have a meeting because, you know, a lot of our family was talking, especially her family. And she even messaged me and said, okay, let's just us go and talk by ourselves and figure this thing out. I said, fine, that sounds good. Okay. The day came for the meeting, she immediately canceled it. It was the same day that they had that event at the school where she went home with our daughter. So she canceled the meeting that we were supposed to sit down and actually figure out what we're going to do. And then within 2 days of her having my daughter, which is the amount of time we needed then for a COVID test, she was gone. She talked to me the day prior to her leaving again and said, does Victor want to come visit? Does Victor want to come visit? So, you know, seems like she wanted to take both of them and go. So.
Okay. And then after she left, is it, she stated there was a period of time where there was no communication between the two of you?
So she went to UK, and, you know, her sister lives in UK. So, you know, her saying she's stuck in UK, her sister lives there with her husband. So I don't know how stuck she would be when, you know, they have a residence that I'm sure they stayed at. But, you know, I messaged her maybe, I don't know when. I said, well, what happened? I thought you were stay, because she said she's going to stay through the holidays, through Siata's birthday in Nigeria. She even talked about having a birthday party for her. And I did message. I said, what happened? You know, then she talked about this police, which, you know, in Nigeria, police don't really get involved in these kind of matters. That, you know, so right, I don't really understand.
But let's kind of, after she left Nigeria, is it true that there is a period of time where there was no contact between you and her?
After I said what happened, there was a period of time there was no contact, right? Okay. Because, you know, as a human being, you know, I'm gonna feel like what just happened, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right. But then eventually, you acknowledge service in the legal documents that she served, correct?
Right. Yeah. There was, and yeah, someone was coming to my door. I had no idea who it was, you know, and I did acknowledge. And, you know, also in February, my sister passed. So, I mean, there was a lot of things going on at that time. So.
Okay. So, and then eventually there was the temporary hearing that happened in October of 2021.
Correct.
Okay. Now, is there anything
Right.
important that you think the judge needs to hear that happened prior to October 2021?
Well, we had I think from maybe, was it March to October, we did video calls. They were about up to 30 minutes each, twice a week. And this was a schedule that we set. I think it was Friday and Sunday. Our daughter wasn't available, I think, Friday. So 30 minutes, she had 30 minutes with my son, just them two talking. And then Sunday, our daughter was also on the call. So it was both of them on the call from Friday to Sunday. And it was pretty solid and constant all the way to October. So, I mean, that's about 8 or 9 months of audio-visual communication up to this hearing.
Okay. And then eventually there's the hearing in October of 2022, I believe. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And is it fair to say that from October of 2022 until February of 2023, was there any telephone communication between either you or Dr. Emily, or with the children and Dr. Emily, or anything like that?
Yeah, so from October, after the order was put out, yeah, there wasn't communication.
Okay.
During that time, I was trying to communicate with my previous lawyer. She was non-responsive. So I really didn't know what to do with that, because, I wanted to take action, either to appeal, and I just wasn't getting any response. That's why I had to search for, a change of counsel. But I didn't know what to do with it. Okay. And, again, there was no communication as far as travel for, our son, which says that she should tell me about, reimbursing for travel to the United States.
Okay.
You said in the order.
Okay, but then once you retain me, certain things in regards to the temporary order began things that you were ordered to do during the temporary order started to happen.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and you provided addresses for your house, and to the school. Correct. Okay. Correct. And you saw the and let me ask you this, from October of 2022 until you retained me in February of 2023, did your lawyer ever forward you any letters from Attorney Shoemaker?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. To your knowledge, do you know if any other letters were ever written from Attorney Shoemaker to your lawyer during that period of time?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. So you provided in February of 2023, I'm going to say an address, but it was the one that said behind the golf course.
Correct.
And I had emailed, okay, this is what I think that was in Petitioner's Exhibit 1. If I can share my screen in regards, well, anyways, in regards to that, well, excuse me. Can I share my screen, Your Honor? I believe this is okay. Okay, can you see this email that
yes.
All right, and part of this email you gave the address to the school and then an address for you. It says behind the golf course.
Correct.
Can you please elaborate on that? Yeah,
so Nigeria is a developing country, so it doesn't, every address, especially in parts of a city that may be developing, they don't have numbers. They don't even have street names. So, it's not possible, depending on where you live, to give that exact address. For example, in Abuja, that is the capital of Nigeria. So it's more developed. We have street addresses, street names. So that one was the 21 Arsenal, which is established place. But this place is, a developing part of the city. Not to say it's in, a village, but it's just a part that has not received street names yet. So yeah, there's no address. So even if I want someone to come by, I have to describe it to them or take them to the place, and then they'll remember how to get there.
Mhm. And is that common?
Yeah, it's very common, depending where you live.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. And you saw plaintiff's exhibit number 4, the phone log?
Yes.
Or excuse me, number 4, I apologize.
Yeah, the phone log.
Mm-hmm. And there's, from February up until the present date, there's quite a few telephone calls that are going on.
Yeah, those are calls, yes, that I initiated every call.
Okay. So why was there no FaceTime?
Well, so the area I am in now does not have good internet. So that's why FaceTime is not working well, because the internet is unstable. It's not that there's no internet, it's unstable.
Okay. Okay. In regards to summer parenting time with that Dr. Emily is to have with little Victor. They wanted to do it during the traditional time during, the children are off in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And you proposed a time that was when little Victor would not be in school in where he's going to school at in Nigeria. Could you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, so in Nigeria, they do 3 terms instead of 2 semesters. So summertime starts really beginning of August and ends probably almost like the week and a half into September, about that time. So it doesn't follow the same school schedule as in the US.
Okay. And Dr. Emily had said, hey, I can homeschool him. Why did you disagree with that?
Well, I'm sure she could. I mean, she is a doctor, right? But I'm sure she's very capable of doing that. But she is a doctor that's she's very busy, and with our daughter too being off of school, I think it'll be a little difficult for her to handle all of them, and also, fully homeschool Victor during that time. We already have a system here that's working well, and he's continuing to make strides. So that disruption probably wouldn't be his best interest. So as the court order said, Victor's summertime, which begins beginning of August, which I made her aware of that.
Okay. And is it fair to say that during some of the telephone calls, you were able to speak with your daughter?
I was able to speak with my daughter, but it was limited. So on Wednesday, I'm not able to speak to her. On the weekends, I would say 80% of the time is, she speaks with our son, and then maybe 20% of the time I get to speak with our daughter. And there's sometimes, if I can never make a call, let's say if I do have a conflict, I'll let her know ahead of time. But, there's times where I'll call and, our daughter's not available, but she wouldn't tell me that ahead of time. So it will just be her. Even on days where it's supposed to be both of us speaking to both children, she'll only speak with my son, and she'll say, oh, I'm out, or I'm at this place, so Seattle's not available. But she wouldn't tell me this ahead of time, and she obviously knows, but she didn't tell me. Where anytime I had an issue, I would always tell her ahead of time, okay, I can't make this call because of this, or Victor's asleep, or, something happened. But there's multiple times where, she wouldn't tell me. And when we do have calls, she talks with him probably 80% of the time, and I get maybe 20%. And I've complained about that to her a few times, but it just stays the same. She monopolizes the calls, and when she talks to our son.
Okay. And in regards to like being able to reschedule, are you open to, were you open to rescheduling and I use the term very loosely, missed telephone calls?
Right. So, the days I'm available are Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. So if I can't make a Wednesday, the next day is the Saturday. Like I don't have availability the other weekdays. We're 5 hours ahead. So, she mentioned that, we do calls and it's close as bedtime, but we're 5 hours ahead. So 7 o'clock here is 2 o'clock there. So after school, he'll eat, he'll bathe, and then, before that happens, it's almost 7 o'clock. So it's not as if I'm making calls just because he's sleeping. It's just the time difference. It's 5 hours time difference. We're ahead of US 5 hours.
Okay. And is Victor doing well in school?
Yeah, he's doing well, especially compared to how he was doing in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, and she could attest to that. I mean, she's even messaged me saying, thank you for giving, even when the two children were here, she sent me a message, and I could show it as evidence if necessary, but thank you for giving, our children this great opportunity. So this wasn't a contentious thing. We both agreed for them to stay, and she was very happy about it. And like I said, our daughter even made strides here with her speech. And, she mentioned of me saying, why would I want to talk to her, Seattle, because, she doesn't talk. That was, again, I'm a human being, that's frustration because we were making a lot of strides here. And all of a sudden, she takes her away. She doesn't even, her son, her brother doesn't even get a chance to say goodbye. So that's frustration. It's like I'm doing things, she's making progress, and all of a sudden she's gone. And then you go to act like, everything is okay. It's like this. Like you didn't just take her away with no warning. So that was a frustration thing. It wasn't meant in any malice.
Okay. And even though there was the telephone calls, were you aware that it was a huge, huge deal for Dr. Emily with the fact that FaceTime calls or video calls was not occurring?
Yeah, she let me know that, but I can't do something that I can't do, right? For example, right now I'm not at home. I had to go to a place that has better internet. So she let me know that, she'd like to do video calls, but I can't, I can only do like what I could do.
Okay. So for you to do the video calls, you would have to make arrangements to go to a different location.
To a different location and take our son with me, that's, a little much. Like I have to travel, close to 30 minutes. So, but, again, when I get back to my home base, then the internet will be better.
Okay. All right. Is there, as it relates to the motion for contempt, is there any other things that you would like the judge to know or excuse me, for the judge to know about?
Well, I'm just doing the best I can. I'm here in a developing country, and it's kind of difficult to get ramped up. My parents are here too. I helped them move to Nigeria. I helped them get settled in Nigeria, and I'm still kind of watching over them. I'm trying to start a business because you don't really get jobs here. You actually try to start businesses. So I'm working on many things. So I'm just doing the best I can. I have a lot of responsibilities here. So just doing the best I can, and that's it.
Okay. And you think your son is doing very well in Nigeria? Yeah,
he's doing well. I mean, like his mother will talk to him about different countries, and once in a while she'll ask him, which country do you like the best? He'll always say Nigeria. I mean, he's doing well. He's enjoying it.
And he's beginning to speak French?
Yeah, he's learning French.
Context and relevance, Your Honor.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection.
I have no further. Was there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh no, that's all. Thank you.
I have no further questions.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Maley, you initially were living in Abuja, correct?
Correct.
And during the pendency of this, you moved to Asaba.
During I moved to Asaba. Yeah, I moved to Asaba. I think it was summer of 2022.
Okay. And that was after Miss Amelie found out where you were living and where little Victor was going to school, correct?
I don't get your question. She always knew where I was living in Abuja. There was never a time she didn't know.
Okay, so it's just when you moved to Asaba that you no longer would tell her where you were living.
So I moved to Asaba and I told her I lived in Asaba.
But you wouldn't give her an address.
Again, as you see, behind the Borough Golf Course, that's the best description that we have here. I've asked everybody, they say behind the Borough Golf.
Okay. And you say that because they don't have street names, because Nigeria is a developing country.
Well, this part of the city is expanding, so they have not put a street name for where I live.
Okay.
But it's behind the golf course, which is called the
Okay.
Borough.
Well, let's, I'm gonna share my screen. And I just pulled up Google Maps. This is a Bori golf course in Asaba, Nigeria. You recognize that?
Yes, of course.
And you see the street names? Yes or no?
Do
Can
I
you
see the
that?
street name?
Yeah, can you see?
Yeah,
the-
but I don't live there.
Okay, so do you live on this street here by the government house?
No, behind.
Okay,
on
so
the
back
other side.
here on this street, you live off of this street.
Off of that street, yes, behind. the
Okay,
Borough.
so off of this street, that's called road number 74. Can you see that?
Not in Nigeria. They don't call it road number 7.
Oh, okay, but it does have a name, does it not? And this is actually
No.
quite a built-up area of Asaba, is it not? Yes or
No,
no?
it's not. It's not.
It's not. So all
It's
those
not.
buildings aren't there. This map is wrong.
All what building? Exactly.
You can't see the buildings on the map.
Those are plots of land. They could be houses there, or it could be empty.
In fact, this is like a Bori golf course is within the Metro Asaba area.
Correct. It's a little outside of it, but it's close.
Asaba has 150,000 people. Isn't that true?
Yes, it's small.
And
yes,
it's your
a small city.
testimony, and it's your testimony that you can't do FaceTime because you have unstable internet in Asaba.
No, I'm not in Asaba.
You're not,
I'm currently not in Asaba. No.
so you've moved again.
Yes, I've explained this to.
So
your
you no
client.
longer live behind a Bori golf course.
No, that's my permanent address. I'm at a temporary address now.
So that's what you meant when you get back to my home base, the internet will be better.
Yes.
So,
So in Asaba, we did video calls in Asaba.
okay. So where do you live
Yes.
now?
I'm in Oyo State.
Spell that, please.
Oyo.
Oyo State. So you now
Yes.
live in Oyo State.
I'm here temporarily. I don't live here. I'm here temporarily.
How long are you here for?
Maybe to the end of the year.
Until the end of the year. So that's
Correct.
6 months from now.
Possibly. I'm not sure yet.
What is your address in Oyo State? Excuse me, Oyo State.
So I'm outside of Ibadan. Again,
Okay.
this place doesn't have an address.
Spell it,
Ibadan.
please.
Ibadan.
And is little Victor there with you?
Yes.
How long have you been in Abadan?
Been in Ibadan since the beginning, like close to the beginning of the year.
So on February 2nd, when your attorney emailed me that you lived behind a Bori golf course, you were not living at a Bori golf course at that time.
That's my permanent address.
But you weren't living there at the time by your own testimony just now.
Yeah, but it's my permanent address. I'm in a different location for business.
So you didn't think that the temporary order required you to give an address where you were going to be living with little Victor for a year,
I didn't know I'll be here for a year.
but you know you're going to be here for another 6 months.
Yes, now I do.
Let's go back to your testimony about what happened in December of 2021. It was your testimony that you wanted to work on the marriage when Miss Samali came in December of 2021, correct?
I said I wanted to talk.
I'm
about
gonna object to this line of questioning because it predates the temporary order and on relevancy, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it was his testimony.
I'll overrule the objection.
Mr. Maley, your testimony was you wanted to work out the marriage issues in December of 2021 when Miss Samali came to visit, correct? Do you recall that?
Yeah, I said I expressed my dissatisfaction with the man.
Okay,
So I
but
wanted to talk about it.
okay. So your testimony again was that you wanted to work out the marriage issues, but you wouldn't let her stay at the house with you and the children.
Yeah, I wouldn't let her stay at the house. No.
And in fact, your testimony was that you thought that her family was going to kidnap the children.
Yes, the way they came, and after the first day they visited, yes, I did.
And you felt that way because that's what you had done, correct?
When did I do that?
You had taken the children and were refusing to return them, correct?
When did I do that?
So just answer the question.
No, that's untrue. When did I do that? Specify, so maybe you could.
You only would let her see the children at your house with you being present, correct?
Correct.
But it was your testimony that they had no restrictions.
Yeah, they could come to the house and see the children.
Okay.
But if she comes with her family and wants to take them at like 10 at night, you know.
Okay, so they can come to your house and you have to be present in order for her to see her children. Yes or no?
Yeah, she come with her family, yeah, I have to be present.
It was your testimony as well that you knew at this time that she had already filed for a separate maintenance.
No, I didn't know.
Okay, but it was your testimony that you did know, which
No,
is,
she filed it on the 16th. I found out later.
okay, when did you find out?
I don't know if it was the end of December after she was gone.
Okay,
So I didn't know, or when they tried to serve papers and I didn't know who was coming to my door.
okay, so you were
I
incorrect.
can't.
You were incorrect when you testified earlier that you knew when she showed up in December, she'd already filed for separate maintenance.
No, what I'm said is we had a meeting on Saturday and that Monday she filed.
Okay.
But I didn't find out that she filed till later, but the fact is she did file
Okay,
that Monday for separate maintenance and full custody of both children. But she claimed that she was trying to work things out. And
you,
when our daughter, you know, she got our daughter, she did leave. So whatever I thought was true. As far as her kidnapping the children. That's exactly what she did.
because what you did is not kidnapping.
Not at all.
Okay. Now your attorney asked you if your prior counsel had sent you any letters from me about not having phone communication. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And did your attorney send you the motion for contempt that was filed in November of 2022?
I don't recall, but I have to look. Because
Okay.
she stopped communicating for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to check.
How about the motion that Miss Amelie be allowed to renew Ciada's passport in November of 2022 because you refused to sign the passport paperwork?
I received that motion. You know what? What I did receive was a change from separate maintenance to divorce. That amendment. I remember receiving that.
All right. On February 2nd, 2022, your attorney provided an address for Little Victor School to me, correct? You saw petitioner's exhibit number 1?
Correct.
Okay. But at that time, on February 2nd, 2023, Little Victor was no longer attending that school.
Correct.
So,
But that was the last physical school he was in. And again, we traveled. I didn't know we'd be away so long. So if we returned, that's the school he would go back to. So what other school can I give if not the last school he was in before we traveled?
how about none? And I'm homeschooling. Why not?
Well, they asked for a physical school. That's the school. I didn't know if I'll be back in a month or 6 months. I wasn't sure. So that was a school we were going to return to.
Well, Mr. Maley, then here's an idea. Why didn't you tell the truth?
Tell the truth of what? They said they wanted a physical school. That was the school he was in.
All right.
And when she asked me, I said, we're homeschooling them. And when we return, that will be the school he returns to.
All right. It was your testimony that with the summer parenting time, you wouldn't allow summer parenting time in May, June because of school scheduling.
Correct.
But you're homeschooling, correct?
Correct.
So Little Victor doesn't attend a physical school.
Yes, but he's still in school. Homeschooling is still school. And it ends a schedule.
But it can be
And it
done.
ends a certain time and it begins a certain time.
But it can be done anywhere, correct?
Yes, yeah, and we covered this. why it's best
also
for him to school here where he's currently living.
you also testified that you are only available to do phone calls on, what was it, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday?
Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday. But how are you not available when your responses to interrogatories say that you're unemployed?
Yeah, so I'm working on trying to start a business. I'm still in school, and there's a lot of other responsibilities.
So you're still in school at Georgia Tech?
I'm still in school, yeah. I'm still doing writing. I'm writing my dissertation.
Okay, so you're still doing your PhD with Georgia Tech.
I'm trying to.
Okay, but that requires a reliable internet connection, does it not?
Actually, it doesn't. I'm just writing.
Yeah, I have nothing further for this witness.
If not, for the defendant making some effort after retaining Mr. Gross, though it's not what he should be doing completely by any means, I might go ahead and just change custody of the son to the mother. But Mr. Emily, I'm going to give you one last chance to show that you can abide by the court's order, and you don't just do what you want to do or what you would like to do, but you got to do what the order says. And even if you have to drive 30 minutes and to get video communication because you moved somewhere outside your normal residence, you still have to do it. And you have to give the address where you and the son will be, whether it's at your principal residence or where you are now. In 6 weeks, summer visitation doesn't mean 4 weeks or whatever it is in August and September. So I agree with Mr. Gross. We need to tighten up the order even more to make sure there's no question about what should be done, though there's not that much question right now. He says he can do video communication on, well, he didn't say video, but communication on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that will be video communication. And we can specify times if we need to.
Which I think we need to.
All right.
Is there a certain time that would work better for the parties?
Miss Amelie, what works best for time?
I'm available, like I'm always available. Victor's been the rate limiting step, and he says he has to go somewhere to get to internet. So what is his?
What's the time difference?
It's a 5-hour time difference.
What time, Victor, would you like to do the video conferencing?
I mean, it has to be around the same 7:30. I don't know, it's gonna be tight, but
No, it's
7:30, close to 8, between 7:30, 8:30 p.m. Sorry, that's my time. So yeah, that's your time would be
3:30 to
between
4.
2:30, 3:30.
2:30 to 3. On
You said-
Wednesday.
Sometime between then. It can be
No,
sometime in that.
we're getting exact. I apologize. We're getting exact times here. So if it's 2:30 local time in Atlanta, Georgia, that means 2:30 local time in Atlanta, Georgia. Not 15 minutes later, but the call happens at exactly 2:30 local time in Georgia.
Okay.
So does 2:30, does that time work for
Let's
you?
say 2:45.
All right. Till when?
I mean, usually it's about 15-minute calls.
Let's make it a 20-minute window, Judge. How's that sound?
20 minutes? Okay.
And during this time, will he be able to speak with his daughter?
Yes, she will have the daughter on. I don't know about Wednesday, but certainly Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, certainly Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. You're going to do all that in 20 minutes?
I think maybe the weekend calls make them 30 minutes.
Okay.
I believe, you know, I'm torn between saying at a minimum or trying to specify an exact time, Patty, so. I would defer to you.
Well, what do you say, Mr. Mayor?
You know, I think we say 2:45, 30 minutes. If they end a little bit early, that's not gonna be that big of a deal. But I think we
Okay.
need to put a 30-minute window,
But it is important that they start on time.
correct?
And you say the daughter is available just Saturday and Sunday?
Your Honor, Wednesday will be harder because it's 2:45 here, so I know it's summer, but she's gonna be in summer camps.
Okay.
I have to say too that you know, we're pushing against 8:30, 8:15, so that's around bedtime and stuff, you know. So I mean, we just have to. There's still things I have to do here too.
Okay, well, just 30 minutes. All right. Christmas visitation. It'll be Christmas before we know it. What, let's set out a definite time for this Christmas. What is,
So I do have a question. How about visitation with my daughter? Do I get to do that, or is that not part of the plan? The order doesn't cover that at all. The initial order doesn't mention her at all.
that raises another question.
The initial order, sorry, may I say something?
But just a minute. You said he needs to come with the son for visitation.
Well, it doesn't say who needs to bring this. It just says he travels. I mean, she could come and pick him up in Nigeria. It doesn't specify who needs to bring him.
You know, the temporary order does not specifically specify any visitation between the father and the daughter. And frankly, because at the temporary hearing, father wasn't interested in any visitation.
Okay.
That's not true. Sorry.
Now,
Just please look.
Just a minute. Let's decide on the son and then we'll get to the daughter.
that being said, and I think, you know, I think what needs to occur is that Mr. O'Malley needs to come here for 6 weeks for summer visitation. And I think, you know, because mom's been denied access for so long to the son, I think that the son needs to stay the majority of that with mom and daughter, because I think it's also very important for the two children to have time together. But maybe we carve out some of that time, some weekend within that 6 weeks for father.
Is there any possibility that Your Honor would consider for the parenting time to happen in Nigeria?
Judge, no way. I mean,
You know, I might, except for the fact he didn't follow the Christmas visitation for this past year. So we're just talking about Christmas in addition to what's provided in the temporary order. Well, that's all. Strike that. Temporary order just talks about Christmas.
And Christmas, I mean, I appreciate we were going to set more definite dates.
Yeah.
That was the whole purpose of Mr. O'Malley providing the school schedule to Miss O'Malley so that we knew what the dates were that little Victor was out from school over the Christmas school break. That never occurred.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll provide that Mr. O'Malley will bring the son to DeKalb County, Georgia for visitation with bring the son to the mother's residence in December and August. Well, it'll be for 6 weeks for Christmas vacation in 2023, during which time he can visit with the daughter. Y'all need to get some definite dates.
Yes, Judge. Judge, and what about this summer? Summer visitation this summer?
Okay. Well, he's already got what, this August 11th to September 11th set up.
That's what he says, that he's coming.
I didn't say I was coming.
Okay. That's a little over 4 weeks. We can expand it to 6 weeks. What, Mr. Gross, we can make him available earlier or later. What's your preference? I mean, let's say if he came August 4th, that'd be.
Then that gets to September 11th, it'd be September 24th, would be 6 weeks. I'm just waiting on, that's all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. September 22nd, I believe, would be 6 weeks, August 11th to the 22nd.
1, 2. Yeah. So you want to do that?
I'm sorry, was that August 4th to September?
I thought we said August 11th,
Yeah, August 11th.
2-1?
September 22nd.
Or 27th.
I said 22.
All right, just a minute. Yeah. September 22nd.
Okay.
Is that all right with Ms. Emily, Dr. Emily?
Yes, that's all right. Can he specify, because I can go ahead and buy the ticket, because I heard him just now, Victor, he just said that he didn't say he was coming. So
Hold on, Ms. Amelie. Your Honor, I would propose that Mr. Amelie is responsible for transportation and bringing little Victor to and from mother's residence for these visitation periods. He buys the tickets, and then Miss Amelie can reimburse him for 50% as per the temporary order of the cost of little Victor's tickets.
Okay. Now, what about, he says he doesn't want to bring the child. What about that?
Well, Your Honor, I have some concerns about that, because I would like to ask the court that during that time frame, August into September, that we have a compliance hearing, because I don't think that Mr. Amelie is going to comply.
You can come and pick them up. That's not a problem. But I have responsibilities here.
Just Victor, please.
Okay.
Your Honor, it's a difficult, at a time like this, if we were in a courtroom, I would like an opportunity to speak with my client in private.
Yes.
Is that something that I can do right now? Call him quick. Victor, are you able to speak with me on the phone?
Yeah, sure.
I would request what you want to call it, a recess, or just a brief amount of time where I can speak.
Let's take a 15-minute recess.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
I'm going to call you.
Okay, no problem.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I've spoken with Mr. Emily, and Dr. Emily had stated she works half-time or part-time. And again, we would like to renew our request that the parenting time with the children happen in Nigeria from the August 11th to September 22nd.
Judge, you can't. The youngest child will be in school during that time period. And little Victor is homeschooled, so it makes sense for it to occur here.
We're talking about a 6-year-old in first grade, Your Honor.
Well, I might consider that, except again for the fact that he has been done a very poor job in complying with the original temporary order. So I'm not going to do that.
Okay. All right. I believe in regards to the plane ticket, he would be in agreement to purchase the plane ticket and submit that to Dr. Emily to be reimbursed for 50%.
Uh, he doesn't plan on coming himself.
I think he needed time to think about that, Your Honor.
Okay.
I think, and it's a financial issue also. The tickets are quite expensive.
Yeah, Ms. Shoemaker, you all right with that?
Your Honor, with him buying the tickets?
Yeah, and also if he doesn't come.
Your Honor, I'm fine with that. However, I mean, he just made a big issue that he wanted to make sure that he had parenting time with the daughter. And Your Honor, we haven't gotten into the financial issues, but I also know that in 2000.
Yeah, you can put in there if he wants to visit with the daughter, he can come. And I'll cut you off. Anything else?
Judge, I was just saying, we haven't gotten into the financial issues. However, Mr. Ameli has bought like 4 or 5 properties since he's been in Nigeria. He's been taking all the rental income from the parties' joint rental properties. And in 2021, when he left, he cleaned out about $700,000 in his accounts. So I appreciate that you say there's financial issues, however.
Your Honor, there are no financial issues. The parties signed a prenup, and that's why we have filed a motion to enforce the prenup, because that resolves all these issues.
No, Your Honor, I'm bringing it up because he's saying he can't afford to fly with the child here to Georgia. He's saying he can't afford it. I'm not talking about property division.
I said there may be financial issues in regards to him coming. That's all I stated.
Well, you know, I know airlines have services they provide for children that fly. Can they do that?
When I checked on the Delta website this morning, the answer is yes, Your Honor. Although I did not physically call them, and I don't know exactly what their requirements are, whether it has to be a direct flight or connecting flights, but Delta does say on their website for international travel, they will accompany the child.
They do unaccompanied minors, and the rules typically for unaccompanied minors, it has to be a direct flight.
Okay.
And that means we're looking at a flight out of Lagos to Atlanta, and there is an extra fee, and it has to be within certain times, like can't be later than like 7 p.m. at night or something like that.
Okay, we'll put all that in the order, and if he wants to save some money, he can come himself. Anything else?
Your Honor, can we have a compliance hearing?
Tell me what you have in mind.
Your Honor, I would like a compliance hearing at the end of August or beginning of September to see if Mr. Ameli has complied at that point.
I don't have any problem with that. The only thing is, I'm just sitting in this week, so I won't be, it's up to Judge Polk, to set it down.
I understand, Your Honor. Your Honor, then I would ask for attorney's fees on this contempt. Your Honor, and I've got my billing statement, I can present it, but I was breaking it down for filing the contempt in November of 2022 and attending the hearing in February and preparing for the hearing in February that did not happen, plus filing the renewed motion for contempt and attending today's hearing. This also includes the court reporter for February. Doesn't include the court reporter that we have here today, but my fees are $4,647.50. Your Honor, I would ask for an award of attorney's fees.
4,600 and what?
$4,647.50, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we would ask that since this is a divorce case, that the issue of attorney's fees be reserved to the end of the case.
Your Honor, I think the court is here and now in the best position to make a decision on attorney's fees because the court's heard all the evidence regarding the contempt. The risk is that we go to a trial in front of Judge Polk. She does not have the advantage of having heard the testimony and evidence specific to this contempt.
Okay, normally I would reserve fees, but I think I will award some in this case, due to the nature of the.
If I may, if opposing counsel can present her time slips.
Okay,
Yeah, I would be happy to. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, may I get permission to share my screen?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I had marked this as petitioner's exhibit number 20. This is all my time billing time, but I will point out specifically the entries regarding just the contempt. On page 2. Oops, sorry, gotta go further down. Gotta go down to page 5. Page 5, here is at the bottom where we email correspondence with client regarding filing the contempt. And this is in November 2022. November 23rd, 2022, draft and prepare the motion for contempt. The 150 rate, 150 per hour is my associate prior to her passing the bar. 375 is my hourly rate on this case. Since I've had this case, my hourly rate has actually gone up to $400 an hour, but it's still 375 on this case. So this entry where I reviewed and revised the motion for contempt and email correspondence with the client regarding the motion. On page 7, this is when I had the first phone conference with Mr. Gross to discuss the case and specifically the motion for contempt because that was on the calendar for February 2nd. My time on February 1st regarding preparing for the contempt hearing on February 2nd. February 2nd was the contempt hearing. February 3rd was when I received the email correspondence from counsel regarding the school information. February 7th, again, this is regarding the school information and medical information regarding the contempt. On the next page here is the court reporter fee for the motions hearing in February of $380. It's so expensive because they charge $250 just to show up. And then the wait time. Then at the bottom of this page, on April, reviewing the WhatsApp messages and preparing the renewed motion for contempt. Just last 2 entries. Next page, telephone conference with the Superior Court to discuss getting a hearing on the motion for contempt. On April 11th, revising and filing the renewed motion for contempt. On April 12th, going over the client's revisions and updates to the motion for contempt. February 13th, $95 an hour. That's my paralegal. She filed the renewed motion for contempt. And then today's time. Your Honor, tenders his petitioner's exhibit number 20. And subject to Mr. Gross's questions that he might have for me.
Any objection to admitting P20?
No questions. I would just like a brief chance to respond.
Okay, admitted without objection.
Okay.
So you have no questions for Ms. Shoemaker?
She's a competent attorney. I find her hourly rate to be fair in the Atlanta metro area. I believe she's maybe a little too thorough in regards to this, but that's all I can say. I think I'm not going to say she quote unquote overbilled, but
Okay.
I think a little on the high side.
Well, thank you. I was going to ask her if they were reasonable and necessary. But you agree they are. And you need to cite a code section to put in the order.
Your Honor, I would do it under both OCGA 1962 and 1993.
Tell me which is which.
Your under 1993, that's the custody statute. The court has discretion at any time to award fees. I also ask under 1962, and I can present evidence to this regarding my client.
Those are the proper statutes, Judge. I'm not. Well, those are the proper statutes.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, you want to make some argument, Mr. Gross?
Like I said, Your Honor, Ms. Shoemaker is a competent attorney, a rate is fair. I believe she's just a little on the high side. That's all I'm going to say, Judge.
One of the first cases I ever had, the attorney wanted $50,000. And that was about 40-something years ago. Anyway, has nothing to do with this, but just I'm always reminded of it. I'll award the $4,647.50. What, pay it in 30 days?
Victor, would you need more time than 30 days?
Yeah, I need more time.
60 or 90 days?
90.
If that would suffice, Your Honor.
Okay. Shoemaker, I ask you to prepare the order, send a copy to Mr. Gross. Mr. Gross, you'll have 10 days to file any objections.
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, and where do you want me to send the order when it's ready?
Send it to Ms. Carr. And then she'll look at it and send it to me.
Yes, sir. Got it. And I got Ms. Carr's email address in the chat. Thank you, Ms. Carr.
All right. Anything else on the contempt?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
How long is this other motion going to take?
Your Honor, is this the motion to enforce the prenup?
Yeah.
Your Honor, we consent to that.
Okay. Mr. Gross, submit an order.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can I say something?
Well, you might want to say it to your attorney, but I don't know.
No, just that it also includes my personal property that she's been holding hostage for months. Not just
Yeah, that's a good point.
there's a lot of personal property that she's holding.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a minute. Ms. Shoemaker, that's Defense Exhibit B to this motion. Does Ms. Emmett, Dr. Emily agree to turn over all that stuff?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, you're talking about their motion to enforce the prenup?
Correct.
Let me pull that up. Your Honor, I would say this is personal property that's at the house. This is a issue for the final.
Is this now a divorce case or still separate, man?
It is a divorce case, Your Honor, now.
Okay. What do you say, Mr. Gross?
I believe from a procedural point of view, Ms. Shoemaker is correct. However, we believe that Dr. Emily has those, and as a matter of courtesy and convenience, if she could make them available, we would request that be done.
Well, we won't decide it today, but the two attorneys can hopefully agree on that. So, Mr. Gross, you can draw up the order.
Okay.
Granting the motion to enforce the prenup. Anything else?
No, Your
I
Honor.
have. Can I say something? Or I mean, my lawyer could address something. About the rental properties. So I've been managing them remotely. So just it's taking a lot of my time. So we need to kind of if possible, hurried up so we could split things so I could just manage my side. And I'm spending money even maintaining them. So, yeah. It's been like this for almost 2 years.
All right, well, it's out of, that part's out of my hands, so hopefully it'll move along. And Ms. Shoemaker, you want a copy of the order granting the motion to enforce the prenup before I sign it, or?
Yeah, if he doesn't mind, just send it to me. I'm sure.
Then you'll have 10 days to respond.
I'm sure I won't need that long to review.
Okay, and just send it to Ms. Carr, Mr. Gross.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.